Welcome to Models Podcast. 모델 팟캐스트에 오신 걸 환영합니다. 편하게 모델 라디오라고 생각하시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 모델의 진솔한 이야기를 듣는 공간입니다. 모든 모델 여러분들 응원하겠습니다. 화이팅! Welcome to Models Podcast. 모델 팟캐스트에 오신 걸 환영합니다. Welcome to Models Podcast.
Thank you.
Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, my name is Ancha. I'm 26 years old and I've been modeling for the past 10 to 12 years, depends.
And how did you start modeling?
It's a funny story. When I was a kid, I had not a great posture, till now actually. So my mom wanted to send me to the model school because she thought it's gonna help my posture. And yeah, I've been going to the classes for like around 2 months, doing catwalk classes mostly. And since then I started kind of looking for some test shoots around, some kind of jobs. I was 14 or 13 by then, and I was scouted online by a local agency. I'm from Moscow, Russia, so it was quite easy because the entire industry is there. It was an easy start, I would say.
As in such a young age, did you enjoy going to that school and everything?
I would say yes, because I usually just like to study something new that is interesting to me. And I would say the classes were fun. We had like some fun exercises, for example, doing crazy big steps just to let go of the body tension and to stop being scared of walking in general, like in the hills.
Was modeling your dream?
Never. Actually, when I was younger, like before I went to modeling school, everyone was telling me, "Oh, Ancha, you're so tall, you're so pretty, you have to be a model." I was like, no, never. But then it kind of happened by itself.
Then what was your dream then? Like what did you want it to become, like when you were a kid?
Actually, when I was a kid, I have no idea. Like, I see in the movies all the time, some kids already have an idea, like I want to be a doctor, an astronaut, whatever. I was like, give me time to think, guys, I don't know.
Yeah.
Until now, I don't know.
Okay.
But my grandma was a dentist, was a doctor, so I was thinking of maybe taking her steps and becoming a doctor as well. Something like this. It's good money.
And then you started from Moscow and like you were there for a little bit, and then did you go somewhere or?
Yeah, so I started when I was 13 or 14, I myself don't remember. And then my parents wanted me to wait for at least when I was 16, when I passed my 9th grade exam, and I had the 10th grade without any exam. So this was the first year that I traveled. I just turned 16. I flew like a couple of weeks after my birthday. So I flew to China like a couple of weeks after my birthday, my 16th birthday. And I've been to Beijing for 2 months, February and March. It was a great experience. Like, my parents were super scared, but very supportive as well for this to happen. It was my first trip alone, and I was super excited. It was like a test of my abilities. If I know the language, if I can manage myself, what will I eat, how can I cook, how will I interact with others, stuff like this. So it was quite entertaining. I even made money on my first contract. And I didn't have any guarantee. Like, I flew to the first contract to China without any guarantee.
That is actually really impressive. Like such a young girl without parents going to complete outside of your comfort zone. The time when you went to China was almost 10 years ago, which I think I was in Shanghai at that time, so it's still China, you know? Like, so it's a bit crazy, so I cannot really imagine how it all went, and you still made money at the end of the day.
The thing I'm most surprised of is that I didn't have a guarantee for China. And that one part is upsetting because for my first model trip, I didn't know much. Like, I didn't know how the industry works yet, and my agency didn't explain me much in a matter of how to make money, what to expect and stuff. They were like, yeah, let's make this trip for you to see how it goes. But to know that China is the country that most of the time gives guarantee, even the little one, but they do. So that one, when I found this out, it was upsetting. But China was cool. It was an incredible impression. honestly, because it was my first time in China, not in Asia, because when I was a kid I traveled to Thailand and India with my family. But China, yeah, it was the first time, completely different food, such a different mentality. Until now, for me, this mentality is very surprising and unusual. But yeah, it's not that difficult because you're still a bit being babysat, because they buy a ticket for you, they send a driver for you, you live in a model apartment, they take you to castings, all this kind of stuff. It kind of gives a bit of sense of security, at least for me, because like I don't have to manage the city on my own because we have a car. I always get the money like weekly, the pocket money, so it was kind of easier with this because you can plan your expenses and try to match them, something like this.
How old are you now?
I'm 26.
So you've been modeling for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Which country have you been to?
China, Thailand, Hong Kong, and Italy.
And which country was your best and worst? I wouldn't say worst, but
By the experience, by the money, what is the thing of measure?
let's put the jobs first because like we need to make money first, and then
Okay.
like in terms of life afterwards. Yeah.
So for jobs, obviously it's China because they have good prices, hourly rate, and you can make a lot of money there if you work and if the client likes you. Right now, I would say Thailand is also not a bad option for me. I'm based here now for the past 3 years, coming and going, but mostly based here. And it's not exactly for modeling that I say Thailand, it's mostly for the opportunity to make TV commercials, which is not exactly a modeling job, it's also kind of acting. And this kind of job pays well in most of the cases. And in Thailand, for me, it was like the easiest comparing to other countries to get this kind of job, this type of job. Because I was also modeling in Russia. I had some TV commercials there as well. But in other countries, I would say I didn't even have the castings for this type of shootings.
I see. So like besides Thailand and China, like you were mostly doing fashion.
Yeah, like catalogs, lookbooks, and catwalks. I'm very tall, so catwalks is like my profession basically. And honestly, I'm not that big of a fan of catwalks. I prefer shootings. But what can I do if I'm very good at it?
You know, like there's like so many categories in like in our job. Like we have like runways, we have beauty for women, and we have a lookbook, e-coms, and like whatever, and also commercials. What is your favorite type of jobs?
There was a period of my life that I was doing a lot of beauty, commercial and unpaid shootings. It was in Moscow, and at that point I really liked this kind of job because you get many pictures, you try so many makeups, and you feel just so pretty because that's the point of the shooting. I would say any kind of shooting where I can get to be myself, so not a catalog where you just pose straight 45, 90 in the back, but even like not a campaign, but like a fashion set image kind of shooting where you have like an interesting background and you can be more free with your posing, and you can experiment, try new things.
Yeah.
Also kind of a magazine as well,
Yeah.
something like this. You mentioned that for males you don't have that much beauty. Do you think that it changes now? Because I think that skincare brands and makeup brands now also target male audience as well. Would you say that you started having some jobs of this type or no?
I do. Even in Thailand, I was shooting like one editorial, and like this one part of this editorial, I was shooting for beauty. But I think still the majority of the cosmetics like beauties are for women. But in terms of men's beauty accessory, I think it is like perfumes, colognes, or eyewears, max. I don't think we have so much jobs for beauty, like, but beauty pays a lot. Beauty pays like big commissions, not big guarantee, no buyouts.
Buyout.
they have big buyouts. So I would love to shoot like some type of beauty, but I think it's quite limited for me. I should, but it is what it is. You
It is
have
what
this.
it is.
Yeah. You named two of your best countries, and what is the lowest, worst country?
I cannot name it because I actually liked all of the countries I worked in. But honestly, when I've been to Milan, I spent there in total of 3 months, and I think I've done 2 jobs. And both of the jobs they didn't even pay well. One was the student fashion show, and another one was like a catalog, something like this. I don't remember. And honestly, the pictures were terrible. Like they were like very bad.
Ouch.
But at the same time, I loved the country, to work with the Italian teams. I liked working with them. I'm learning the language now, guys.
Okay, nice.
Ciao.
Ciao. Because you mentioned like you only had 2 jobs, and also I'm not really working a lot this month. What do you do when you're free? What do you do when you're not doing nothing?
I'm basically doing nothing, guys. No, not really. So, first of all, I would say I love to have free time just for myself because I'm kind of an introvert and I really like to spend time with myself and just relax and rest from other people around.
Yeah.
So I like to be in the quiet at home. I like to cook, so sometimes I get an idea to make something I haven't eaten in 5 years and I don't trust anyone to make it.
Okay.
So I do that myself. Then obviously it's working out, and we will get to the topic a bit later because it's a long topic for me and I love to talk about it. Let's
Sure.
just wait. Reading books is also an option because right now I like to read easy stuff. I would not say I do this for education, but just to relax and unwind a bit. But I also read in English just to kind of keep the language up, my level of language up. So that's what I do. Also, I started learning Italian, as I mentioned before, since last August. So it's already been like
That's great.
7
Yeah,
months.
that's impressive.
Maybe. My
Yeah.
math is not mathing right now. But yeah, so I have the classes online and then I do the homework. I try to practice by myself. Right now, actually, in the past week, I have to confess you something. Please don't make fun of me. I saw a reel on Instagram about the girl who is also learning Italian.
Okay.
And she was practicing by watching cartoons in Italian. So I'm watching Winx now. Do you know Winx?
Wings. No, no, I never heard of it.
Okay, it's a cartoon from like 2007.
Okay.
Series of, they have tons of seasons. It's about the fairies and magic. And I was watching it when I was a kid. So right now I'm switching and I'm watching it in Italian and trying to like learn more words and listen to the speech more. So I've already watched 2 seasons almost in the past week.
Do you think it helps?
I hope so. Let's see in the future. Honestly, I watched like, I don't know, maybe a couple hours and then I had a class with my tutor and I already could feel that I remembered a couple more words that I heard from the episodes.
Okay.
For example, there was some basic words that Italian use all the time, but I never actually got to even translate them to try to remember them. And when I was watching the episodes, I was like pausing sometimes and translating like very simple words that I hear often, but I don't really know what they mean. I just kind of guess based on the situation. So I talked to my tutor about it, and I was like, yeah, let's try to use them more. And I broke my own record. I used in one sentence 3 of the grammatical things we learned before, but I always was forgetting to use it, and that time I did. So I would say maybe it does help, but it really needs more practice, and you need to push yourself. Because you know, when I learned English, I was a teenager, I was in school, I had the tutor, I also started traveling. So now when I'm already like 25, 26 years old and I'm starting to learn a new language, I do not remember how I learned English. And in my brain, I have to learn everything like right away.
Yeah.
So I'm like, English was so easy. It wasn't easy, but in my brain right now, it was easy. Why can't I learn Italian the same way and I'm already older. My brain works different. It's harder to remember some things, and you really need to push yourself to do that.
Actually, I'm also learning French these days, and I think like watching cartoon is actually a great idea because like when I was younger, like I was studying English and like my dad always asked me to read a storybook, like a children's storybook before I go to school, speaking out loud, pronouncing correctly, and I was practicing almost every day in my middle school years. And actually after that my pronunciation was improving so much. And so hopefully that happens to you. And when I learned Japanese watching animes.
Really?
Yeah, like I mean, like my animes, like my Japanese is like full of like nonsense words, but like still I speak some Japanese words like from the anime. So actually, I think it works.
Actually, that you brought it up, I remember now that at school I was also like at some point, actually in the 11th grade when I was already like finishing school, but I did start watching episodes in English. But I wouldn't say that anyone advised me to do that because my family, they don't know English, and my tutor, she never like actually told me to try something like this. But yeah, I think I started watching Sex and the City in English because it was quite easy and short episodes. That was fun. But my level of English was already like quite okay, so it wasn't like a struggle to watch it, and I was understanding most of it. But since then, yeah, I watch everything in original, I would say, not only in English, but I try to watch like German movies in German and French in French and stuff like this.
That's great. I have a question. Do you think like learning international languages or like different languages is important in modeling?
In modeling, it depends, because if you're modeling internationally and you off to a new country every 3 months, I would say that you don't have much time to learn the language of the country you're going to. But at the same time, I think it's a cool skill to know at least your native language, English, plus one language, because you never know when you will meet someone from the country you can talk to and practice. And in general, I think that learning languages is good for your memory and your brain work. Like for example, my grandma, she struggled with dementia when she was older, and I read now a lot of researches about that starting and learning a new language in an older age, it also helps to improve and kind of lessen down the danger of
the process of process of illness. I agree. I just mentioned this because I know some models who actually doesn't speak English at all, and they know they need to learn English or some languages if they want to work internationally. For example, Paris and Milan, like even though they speak English internationally, but they would prefer if you try to speak Italian, if you try to speak French, they appreciate you more, and I think that's quite attractive in a way. You know, there was one time I went to the French bakery, I ordered in French. I asked like, oh, how much is it? And then she replied to me in English, and
like, it's €5.
and I was so frustrated, and actually I didn't know what to say about it.
So first of all, you were talking about the models that don't speak English.
Yeah.
Let's have our position on that first.
Okay.
I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand if it's your like first, second contract and you're actively working on your English, you're like having classes or learning by yourself, anything. But if you're just stuck and you're not trying to do anything and expect kind of the team around you to use the translator or to even start speaking your own language, it's a bit strange because English is international in our industry, and you have to at least understand the basics, like what the photographer, the makeup artist, the stylist wants of you.
Exactly.
Like to understand how to do your job better, because your job depends on it. And if you're not actively doing anything, that means you're not really interested in what you do, or that you don't want to work together with your team on the the result.
I think you don't have to speak perfect English,
Of
but
course not.
you have to at least speak conversational, like the basic English, because some countries you can have a translator in the same set, but you cannot really rely on the translator every single time when the photographer or stylist wants to communicate with you. So you have to at least understand the basics, so at least you're fully involved in the shoot, you know?
Totally agreed.
Yeah.
And for speaking the language of the team, right now both of us are in Thailand and we work with Thai teams mostly. And I would say, like, they do speak English, and to my surprise, they speak much better English than, for example, I've had the teams in China, some of the teams in China. But at the same time, you cannot imagine how happy they look when you start to speak Thai, at least a little bit, at least basic words like hello, how are you?
Yeah,
Or like it's cold, it's hot, whatever. But it just lights up the mood. It makes it easier to communicate.
Of course.
Not even in the way of speaking, but in the way of kind of the vibe, the mood.
Of course.
They are so happy, they're more relaxed. They already feel like you are friends.
Yeah, I think it is just like effort. So like if you say hi, at least like in their language, they love to say hi to you, hi you back in
Yeah,
their
even,
language.
and even
yeah.
they're like, oh, we know some like words in Russian, for example, like "привет, как дела" or anything like this,
Yeah.
and you're like instantly feeling lighter and feeling, I don't know, more joyful to have the shooting, to have this job, and to communicate with people. And I feel like the same maybe goes for Europe, because before you mentioned French in Italy, for example. I would say that it's good to understand at least a bit, just so you have like an expectation of what the client is talking about, even at the casting, like do they like your outfit, or do they like your hair or anything. You can catch up the single word that you know, and you may understand what they're talking about and kind of assume on like the result or the topic, what they like, what they don't. Like even maybe you don't have to talk to the team if you're like not secure about your pronunciation, your vocabulary or anything. But even at the shoot you can understand, for example, you're standing in the shoot on the background and you're not starting to shoot, but you may understand if they don't like the lighting or they don't like the styling at the moment and they're thinking to change something, or they don't like the makeup. And so you just don't stand there trying to understand if something is wrong with you, because we get this sometimes in our heads.
So I first met Ancha in my first casting in Thailand, and actually I'm going to that casting after this.
Right now.
Really interesting, like what a coincidence. But my first impression on her was she was coming to the casting with the Muay Thai outfit, and she told me the gym that she was going to. And later on we met at the gym. Yeah, I want to ask you about your workout and exercise journey. Like how active, like how's your exercises going?
Let's start from the beginning, from the 10 years ago. Let's remember I'm a woman, and half of the
She's
models
strong.
at least
Strong.
are a woman. So when you start, and I was super lucky genetically, I was skinny already. But when you're 14, 15, 16 and you're still a teenager, it's very easy to maintain your shape, especially like if you're already skinny enough. You don't have to do much, you don't have to do anything. There are some models that have to get into measurements to start working and traveling, and I really think it's quite an experience to start working out and trying to understand your body in an early age. For me, it wasn't like this because I was lucky. But with growing up, with your hormonal changes, becoming a woman after a teenager, you have to think and analyze your body more and listen to your body more than you used to. At least for some people, it's like this. But I kind of started working out early on, because I always wish to have a strong body, not just a skinny body. I wanted to do things with my body, like lift weights, being able to do push-ups, doing just something interesting and to find a new thing to achieve. So I started with like some YouTube workouts, HIIT and Tabata workouts, just trying to do more push-ups the next day than I did the previous day or something like this. But I think for most of the models, it's important to just find their own routine that makes you feel good yourself and have it quite consistent. Even if you work out once or twice a week, it's already something. Then if you work out 5 times a week and the next 2 weeks you don't do nothing. The consistency is the key, kind of.
Exactly.
And, for about the sports, I think that you can do anything you want, anything you like, as long as it's consistent, because there are so many things now that I love about modern world, that you can do any sport you want. It can be even curling, if you would like that. And it is accessible. You can find any training playground that you want. You can do yoga, Pilates, barre, mountain climbing, martial arts. You can do gymnastics. You can do calisthenics at home. You can do anything you want, anything you put to mind to it if you like it. There is a gym for everything in this world, and that's what I love about the modern world right now, really, because it's so easy to actually start as long as you start and you find what you really want to do. You don't have to, like, I'm really against the fact that some people force themselves to train and to work out. If you really have to push yourself to go there, and if you don't feel good after it, only like if you do it only for like the check in your notebook, it doesn't worth it.
I really agree with what you said. Like, working out consistent is actually the hardest part for me, and actually everybody. I've been training almost every other day for, I don't know for how many years, but I think still, like, every time I wake up in the morning, stepping outside of my bed and then either going to the park or going to the gym is the hardest. But I'm trying to not think, like, when I wake up, I just put on my clothes without even thinking. I just make coffee and then I just go down. I just go.
But let me just tell you, this guy has a running club. He just founded a running club.
Yeah.
He wakes up at what time? 6 a.m.?
I wake up actually between 4 to 6. Yeah, I wake up between 4
This
to
is
6.
scary to me. Machine.
Today I woke up a little bit late. I woke up at 6:30.
I woke up at 11.
Yesterday I woke up at 4 to go for a run. Tomorrow I'm doing a track session, so I'm waking up 4:30 because we're starting the session at 6 a.m. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I love working out. Like, I think not just working out, I like sweating. I think sweating is so important in terms of managing your stress, because I don't know about you, but I'm like a serious overthinker. I stress so much. I get paranoid quite often, and whenever that happens, I have to go sweat. It doesn't matter what kind of like exercises, but I prefer running because like running sweat the most. And after that, I feel amazing. I'm maybe not amazing, but I feel calm, relaxed. Like I feel myself again.
That's
Yeah.
very important about the exercise as well, is the mental part, not the physical one, because it really helps you manage the stress levels and just manage your mood in general. So for me, I'm an easy sweat. Like, I'm sweating right now, guys. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm
It's fucking hot. So sweating is not the only point for my exercise, for example, but if I feel too stressed and I don't have access to the gym or anything, I would just do push-ups or some workout at home. If I'm free and there is no one around, I would just put whatever YouTube video I can find, and I would do some sort of workout or create some exercises that I want to do right now. Because the blood flow, like a little bit of muscle pain, is what I need to get back to my body I'm not like a paranoid person, but I'm a very anxious person. And you know, when you get anxiety, I have like a spinning head or like some unstable heartbeat, and the exercise really helps me to bring myself back to like a more normal situation. But for my workout right now, as you mentioned, for myself, I always wanted to do boxing, martial arts. When I was younger, my parents wouldn't let me. They let me travel around the world, but not martial arts because it's not a girl's thing. So when I finally grew up and I had the opportunity to choose for myself, I started doing boxing first, like feet boxing and then normal boxing. And now, since I live in Thailand, I do Muay Thai, which is Thai boxing. And this is really the sport that I found great for myself. At first, I was going there also like a complete beginner and I wouldn't know anything, but I would still do it. And even if nothing was working out for me, like I would be super new and I would do everything wrong, I felt so much joy in my heart and it would boost up my mood so much, like from the first minute of the workout. Also, I found the gym that I really liked and I love the people working there, and I cannot even switch the gym to any other one. So yeah, and it kind of became my habit going there every day. Sometimes I would give more to the workout, sometimes I would give less. I would skip sometimes because like I had a headache or I had fever, something like this. But I would show up as soon as I felt I could do it again. And that's the consistency for me, because I would say I don't do workout to be fit, I do workout because it makes me feel better mentally. And right now I broke my toe, my favorite story, and I cannot do any type of working out basically because I need to keep it still, and the doctor told me 3 months without Thai boxing and at least 1 month without boxing. And the first couple of weeks, trust me, it was terrible because it is such a push out from my normal routine, because I would go to my gym every day at the same time. I know my plan, this is how it goes, and this one day comes without it, the second day comes like without any exercise, and really like my mental health is starting to like collapse a bit, I would say, because what are we doing now? How do we let the anger out? So right now I had to switch for the exercises I can do. I'm trying to go to the gym and do like some lifting weights workout for the upper body, do some ab exercises I can do at home, try to do push-ups like from the knees or just standing on one foot. So right now I'm trying to manage and bring back kind of a routine. So there is still a way, even if you have a broken foot, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I broke my toe like a few months ago.
He did as well. We were just talking about it before as well.
I broke my toe a few months ago. I've been trained, like even with the broken toe, like because I couldn't pressure my toe. So when I'm doing the plank, I feel pressure. So, but you can do single leg plank.
You put know? One leg on top of the other and you do the plank.
I'm sorry, but like people who said like I don't have time to work out, I think it is kind of an excuse. Like you always make your time, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Even 10 minutes works. Yeah. Like 10 minutes, it's still a consistency. It's still consistency. Even if you do it like 2 or 3 times a week, 10 minutes is nothing. It's the time you spend to make a morning coffee.
Yeah.
It's the time you spend, I don't know, to wash your face in the morning and just wake up.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, I'm not a morning person, so I do workouts in the evening. It's a 10-minute workout any moment that you have free. Yeah. And there are tons and tons and tons of workouts you can find on YouTube, or the workouts you can create by yourself. Like I had a moment in the COVID times where us models had to quarantine in the hotel upon arrival to the country. And I actually arrived in Thailand and I had to sit, I think, 2 weeks quarantine in a hotel. So I would actually Google the exercises you can do in a very small space, because the hotel was very small. Like there is only space like between the wall and the bed. So like I had to adapt. You still can do this. And actually, I really like to create exercises by myself as well, like to create a routine, because this really lets you choose the exercises that you like, that you prefer, that you want to work on, for example. Like any interesting exercise, any interesting skill, you can find a skill you want to learn, and you do the kind of setting up exercises for that one.
I think we both have a. Do you know David Goggins?
No.
You don't know David Goggins? Okay. I think I'm going to send it to you after this video, but David Goggins is a guy who's running ultra marathon, like even with the broken toe, broken legs, broken knees or whatever. He just have a crazy mentality. He used to be the US Navy SEAL, so I think we have a similar mentality in a way.
Maybe.
Maybe. But it's funny. Let me move to another question. Working as a model for 10 years, what would you say is the good and bad of modeling? Let's start with bad, because
Yeah,
I think
we're
is
definitely
easy.
starting with bad.
Yeah, I think it's the easiest to say the bad.
So obviously it's absolutely unstable. Like we were just talking with you right now, this month is terrible. None of us have jobs. We don't know if we're gonna get anything, any payments by the end of the month. How can we save up the money? How can we plan our expenses if our income is unstable? And it never relies on us actually. Yes, it relies on like that we're in shape and we look good and we show up for the castings. But other than that, we cannot do anything and we just hope to get a job. So I would say this is the worst one because it kind of doesn't rely on you, doesn't depend on you if you work or not. And you cannot do anything if you find yourself in the position of not having jobs for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And you have to manage to survive on a low income, on the savings that you have. And some months, and in the other months you get huge revenue. You might get huge revenue, you might not, you never know. And you kind of have to learn to manage all your income considering that it's not stable. So you have to do the savings, you cannot go crazy over the money that you earn if they're the big money, and you cannot go into depression on the months you don't have work.
Actually, I want to add one more thing. I think for me, the most difficult part is being in a good condition, being ready all the time when you don't have a job. I think that's like the really challenging part.
Yes.
When you're working, you're always kind of in shape, but when you're not working and then maintain that shape for what? Like, you know? And I think that kind of fucks me up in my head, and also physically, sometimes I don't understand like what is actually the purpose of my workout. I mean, I try to think it's for myself, it's for my health, but again, on the other side, my overthinking and what the fuck am I doing, you know?
I would say that's not the case for me because, as I said, I really do like to work out just for myself and for my mental health. This really helps me. But there is another point connected to yours, is that you're in a good shape, you look great. There is another model and you always compare yourself to other models. You try to find a way like how to make yourself better. Why does this person work and you don't? Or the other way around. And you're in a great shape, la 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 la, and then there is another model who is not in a great shape, in your opinion, and they get the job. And this really is upsetting because you know how much you put into yourself, you put into your appearance, into the working out, how much time you spend working on yourself and how you want to present yourself, and then there is another person who really does less in your opinion and they get the job, and you're like, how can this be? You're getting upset on this one.
But I think we're talking about like someone, for example, like who goes out like the night before the casting or the night before the job, they drink, like they don't even sleep and come to the job,
Coming tired,
and then
hangover.
coming tired, hangover, and like doing whatever they want to do, and then they're still doing the job.
And as a bonus, maybe they do not speak English.
Yeah. So sometimes when I see someone who's actually trying hard, get the job, like I respect for them,
Of
but
course.
also someone who really care less and get the job, and that person actually works a lot, like sometimes.
Totally agree. Like, I always respect the models that are here for the job and they do the best. Like, we cannot compete with each other because we all do good job. We show up, we talk to the clients, we interact, we connect with each other, we keep each other updated and stuff like this. And it's a great thing. I would say there is not an active, like, what do you think about competing in modeling? Like, is there an active competition, like an aggressive type of one, or if the competition happens only at the casting, like mostly not between the models, but like only, I don't know how to phrase this right. I would say, like, you know, there is a lot of rumors, at least in the past years, a long time ago, that models are competing and trying to set each other up. I just want to make a point that it's not really true.
I don't think so. Yeah. I think yes, there's a competition, of course, because if there's a similar image, like if there's a similar, if there's two Asian with the same hair, like of course, like you're having a competition. But I think I'm also competing myself as well. So if, like competing myself with the best shape or competing myself with best shape versus worst shape or like whatever. So it's not only about the competition, and also at the end of the day, we're all models, like we're all humans, we're all trying to get the job from the clients, we're all trying
We all need money to work.
Yeah, we're all
to live.
Yeah, so it is a competition, but also at the end of the day, we're
on the same team.
Same team, exactly. So I try not to take down any models with any criticism. But of course, like if there's a shitty person, I blame that person because it's a bad person, but not because they're like, bad models or something like that. What about the good parts?
Good parts is obviously the opportunity to travel. Like, I don't think if I would ever find myself living in another country if it wasn't for modeling, and it would never be possible for me to see so many countries. Like, of course it would. I was very lucky with my family because we would travel for holidays and stuff in other countries, but modeling is what gives you opportunity to really see the culture, because you stay longer, you stay for 2-3 months, sometimes even longer in another country, and you really get to know the city, the food, the culture, like the museums. You have time and interest to explore something completely new for yourself. For example, like Asian culture for us is Russians, and probably European culture, like for you. That is something that I really adore, and I would never like stop being thankful for. Also, of course, the people themselves, because you get to meet so many, like each job is new people.
Always,
So you get to know so many personalities and stories if you really like connect, of course, with the team, and you start sharing experiences, stories, backgrounds, and of course you may become friends, and then you would have friends worldwide that you can visit in any country, get really close with. This is a great part. Also a sad one as well, because then you separate and you're in other countries and you don't see each other. But it's also a good one because you still have each other. But still far away.
I always call models as a part-time friend, part-time lover, and you spend such an intense time in this short amount of time, but to say goodbye, but you never know, like the world is quite small for us actually. Like you go to some completely different country and I see her at the casting, and or we happen to be in the same agency, or like could be roommates. Like there was a story like that too. So you never know, like, and I think that's, as you mentioned, I think it is one of the greatest parts of modeling.
For example, I found my very best friend, like the best of all, on a contract in Hong Kong, very like super long time ago. It's already almost 10 years that we've been friends, and we didn't become friends back then. We just knew each other, but then we reconnected again in Moscow, and then we kind of started getting to know each other more. But the base was there, like the start of our friendship, of knowing each other, was there on the contract, on some job that we've done together, and it was super nice. Now we live in different countries once again. He's in Middle East, I'm in Thailand. I'm flying for his birthday next month.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
What would you say to the future models who are just normal people now and trying to become a model? What would you say to them? What kind of advice and comments?
Honestly, I think that whatever you say, it will work. Because you only start to learn when you get inside the industry, and you never believe and never listen before you get inside the industry. But obviously there are some super basic and super popular advices. Just be prepared to not have jobs, to question yourself, to blame yourself. Hello again. So, the reply. I don't think that anything you can say can help the people who are thinking of going into modeling, because no one ever listens and they have to learn by themselves once they get inside the industry. But something we could say is very typical, is very basic, and very popular to say, is just be prepared to question yourself, to not be sure how is even tomorrow going to turn out. Do not blame yourself for not having the jobs, because there are so many reasons. Don't get inside your head about it, and just stay strong, guys. You have to consider, really consider the fact that if you get into modeling, you will have to start traveling worldwide mostly. Of course, you can be based in your city if the city is full of modeling industry and there is jobs for you. But mostly you have to travel. Be prepared that you will travel. You will be away from home, away from your family. If you have a relationship, away from your relationship, and that's going to be another problem as well. Like, relationships and modeling is another topic to cover. Of course, and just be prepared that you cannot expect anything, you cannot plan anything, because modeling is very unexpected and full of surprises. Like, even us here, we've been modeling for so long, we don't know what we have tomorrow. We don't know if we have any castings, we don't know yet. Maybe we do, maybe we're free. Nothing. And don't question yourself, really, because once you get into modeling, you start seeing all these beautiful people around you, and you start thinking, am I worth it? Am I better? Am I worse? What can I do? Don't let this kind of thing get into your head. Just believe in yourself, work on yourself, but never compare yourself to others.
Yeah, I think also I want to add one more thing. I think everything what you say is to have a better version of yourself and also protect yourself, because
Absolutely.
this industry is really harsh, really brutal in a way. So if you are not prepared and also if you don't protect yourself, you can get fucked up.
Yeah, this is the point of. I'm actually quite against, as many models right now, of young girls going on model contracts and starting modeling. Boys probably as well, but as I said before, we talked before starting the camera, that I'm not very familiar until now with male modeling, because it's quite different from female modeling, at least at some points.
Yeah.
So I'm quite against young girls going for contracts and starting modeling early on, like when they're 15, 16, 17, because your mental health and your stability is not there yet. You're not ready for all the competition, all the lifestyle, and the questions that are to come once you start modeling. You can really damage yourself physically and mentally if you're not prepared and if you're not grown enough to manage yourself in this industry, to just try to be stable and have control over your life instead of listening to other people and listening to the intrusive thoughts of in your mind. So yeah, don't start if you're not ready.
Modeling is not everything of your life. Try to work on yourself. I think it is really important to have something of you that will probably keep your core. And on top of that, if you have modeling, I think it is a great surplus.
Yeah, to a bit expand your point, when you start modeling, don't give up on any other part of your life. I think you still need the education, any kind of education if you get. If you're planning to go to the university, go to the fucking university, you will need it. You might not need the education, no, the opposite, the education that you get, but you might need the diploma for once, like you want to find a job, for example, out of modeling.
Yeah.
And never forget about the hobbies and studying, keep learning anything, any like side quests that you can do. Hobbies, sports, some other education. For example, right now there are many models into programming because it can be matched with working online and being in another country, working from your computer, like with the IT, or DJing even as a hobby, as a kind of a side job as well. Like anything you can do for the days that you don't have work, so you don't go crazy as well. You asked me before what you do like on the free days. Have something else.
Have something else.
For me, what keeps me going is my workout. I study languages. I love learning languages. I love watching movies. And I think it is just my thing. I just love creating something. So I'm creating this channel. I'm creating a lot of social media content. And so far, like that's what keeps me going. And when I focus on this kind of things, sometimes I'm not focusing on not having jobs, and it helps me in a way. Last question. What would you say to 10 years ago Ancha, who was a teenager before studying modeling?
Honestly, I was thinking about this, and I kind of already worked out all the problems that I had throughout the modeling. I already am out of them.
That's great.
So right now, I'm fine, and I think my way wouldn't be the same if anything was changed. I'm quite happy with the way I had, with the life I had. Maybe I would say just stand up for yourself, of course. Don't just be there, don't accept what people tell you. Stand up if you're not comfortable, work on your character. Because I'm a softie, okay, sometimes. I would say really try to work on the character, to be stronger, to stand up for yourself, to talk to people without fear, to work on your communicating skills, to be more open to people, more outgoing. That really helps to meet more people from your industry or out of your industry, and it always helps with work to be around. And as I've said before, as an advice to other models who want to start the way, don't question yourself, work on yourself, but don't compare yourself. These are the things I also had to go through, so I wish I knew how to manage this earlier.
I'm not sure if I want to say this or not, but I think when I first started modeling, I loved myself so much. And before I was doing modeling, I was singing, I was doing music. And I love my music, but I was also, like, actually, even back then, I was a bit self-conscious.
I didn't know you were singing.
I was singing, I was playing drums, and I was in a band. But anyways, after I started modeling, I started to hate myself a little bit, and that continued throughout the way for many years, like more than 5, 6, 7 years. and it's been only few years that I'm actually fully enjoying myself. And actually, I'm 31 years old. I think that happened after my 30s. And maybe, probably because in my entire 20s, I was always hustling, trying to make my dream come true, this and that. So I was like always chasing something. I was not really focusing on myself. But actually, after 30, I don't give a shit. Like, I don't want to.
Same.
I don't give a shit. Like, whatever people say, I'm not gonna see them anymore. Like, if I decided to not see them tomorrow, I don't have to listen to them. Like, their comments about my skin, my body, my hair, or whatever doesn't change my life. Like, my opinion determine my life. So I think, love yourself, please. Please don't hate yourself. Like, I think it's
Yeah.
really, 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 really important.
You are precious
Yeah.
little beings, come on.
Yeah. Your parents will be heartbroken if you are going through that kind of a process. My mom did. But yeah. Do you want to say something more for this?
No, honestly, I've also been going through the same period for like most of the duration of my modeling career. And
Yeah.
I would say it stopped only maybe a couple years ago.
Yeah, same.
Once I kind of got stable, I almost stopped going on model trips. I'm mostly based here now. And this kind of helped me to just see how the industry works in one place and see, how do I say it, like sequence. The sequence of the client's thoughts. And since I saw them not for 1 month, 2 months, but for longer, I see that really they don't judge that much. They don't judge you as much as you judge yourself. And even if they do, it's not your fault. Like, if they do, it's just their opinion.
Yeah.
It's their view on what they want to see, what they don't. And it's not about you at all.
What's your next move? Where are you going after?
Well, I'm still based here, but I'm going to Europe for traveling, basically, because I haven't been to Italy. As I mentioned, I love Italy for a very long time, since before COVID. So finally I'm going back just for a couple of weeks. It's not for work, but maybe I will be lucky enough to see some agencies, to talk to them or have some shoots with local photographers. Because even even when you're on holiday, you're not really on holiday. This works for modeling. Like, I cannot imagine 2 weeks on holiday and don't have like some kind of test shoots. Because come on, I'm going to a new country. I can see new people. I have to do this.
Of course.
It's not like forcing yourself, but it's kind of what you do and what you like to do. So I'm hoping for that. And that's it basically for now.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil it, guys.
So until our next conversation, actually, I wish you good luck, safe travels, and hopefully some good positive feedback from Milan, and hopefully your upcoming Thailand journey is more successful than this month. And yeah, thank you for your time in
Thanks
this
to
podcast.
you.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best as well, because I
you.
know you're traveling soon too.
Yeah,
So I wish you to spend good time with your family.
thank you.
And I hope to see you soon.
See you soon.
Because Thailand brings us all together. Give me a hug.
Oh, actually, this is nice. Okay, this was Models Podcast. Thank you for watching, and see
Thank
you
you
in
so
the next
much.
episode. Bye bye. Ciao.
Bye bye. Ciao.